Animation is visual music. In order for animation to function as we know it, it has multiple pieces coinciding with one another to make a coherent piece its author wants you to see. Think of all the gears in the clock moving to tell you one thing, the time. All the musicians in a band playing different things to create one singular song. The instruments being played in animation are what's called the 12 principles of animation. But don't think of each principle as an actual instrument. There aren't 12 instruments in this band, although there can be. Think of it more of things that allow music to exist. Because you don't actually need an instrument to make a song, but you do need rhythm, pitch, harmony, melody to turn something into an instrument. Just like you need the 12 principles to make something animated. And just like in music, having an understanding in these 12 principles is actually a requirement to become the best animator you can be, because you cannot make a piece of animation without the 12 principles, just like how you can't create a song without the 8 elements of music. No matter what you do or don't try to do, they will always be present in whatever piece you're trying to create. It's not like life drawing where many artists get by without ever doing it. Please practice life drawing, guys. And the thing about being strong fundamentally as the musician or an animator is it does this weird thing of giving you a building that has a very solid foundation, but a liquid active structure that constantly changes. In music, when you first start learning things like rhythm, tempo, and key, it makes music feel very structured and like it has rules that must be followed. And when you start out, you should most definitely follow them. After a while, you begin to realize that following these rules only leads to a few possibilities with the songs you're trying to create. It will either be happy or sad. Which eventually leads to the conclusion that everyone draws when trying to become a better artist. Understanding the rules to break the rules. Whoa, wait. Why would playing off key be a good thing though? Why would someone want to play... And then you have a grimy, loud, flat riff. It's making you feel so annoyed and so angry because Mick Gordon wants you to feel annoyed and angry. But wait, playing off time, that just is the antithesis of everything. Why would someone do that? Second 4. Aesthetically, phenomenal. As a game, even better. Musically, a lot of tracks in this game do the wonderful concept of changing the mood with a knockout. It lets the player know they got knocked the fuck out. The stages that do this with the music ignore whatever beat or note the song is on in order to interrupt to get to this big release moment. When you get knocked out on the stage, the jazz band goes absolutely insane. There is no time signature, no sort of scale. The only thing there is pure noise to let you know you just got your ass kicked. Beautiful. When the composer for Tekken 4 creates these crescendos that completely interrupt the note and beat the song was previously on, they are doing it with a purpose to convey a message. Mick Gordon understands and plays music so well that when he plays off key and off time, he is doing it with a purpose to convey a message. When someone just picks up an instrument and does this,
wow, a bass guitar. I think I'll play it now.
they are doing that because they do not know how to play the instrument. They don't know that there are any rules and or how to break those rules. They are playing that instrument without a purpose. Them and Mick Gordon are actually not the same. And how these musicians are using the fundamentals of music to break those rules to say something is exactly why you want to do that with the fundamentals of animation, because you are trying to convey a language. Animation is inherently communicative in every regard, just like music. The guitarists and basses and drums are talking to each other to create a conversation that we know as a song, and your animation is communicating with itself with the 12 principles, or if you have a team, you, the storyboard artist, character designer, all of you guys are communicating to create a successful piece in animation. It not only helps you work more effectively, since you know how to plan something and where to go, but it helps you understand how to break the rules as much and as best as possible to achieve what you are trying to say with this language. This is what I mean by a solid foundation with a liquid structure. The structure and shape of this house can change as much as it wants to, when it wants to, without it collapsing because its foundation is so strong. And that is what you want as an artist and animator. And your animations don't have to be a classically trained orchestra all the time for them to be good. They can be a rock band, a solo artist, a drum and bass producer, whatever. It will and must shift to its purpose as much as possible, and you can only keep shifting that in accordance to how strong your foundation and understanding of these principles are. In music, anything can work as long as the song you're creating is structured around the limitations you're either giving or creating for yourself, which means that no instrument is more important than the other. That's right, piano defenders, shut up. The 12 principles of animation are interesting because they all cannot exist without the other, making every fundamental principle equally as important as the other. For the sake of this series, I've created a band with each instrument representing a set of principles. Let's begin with the drums of animation, the backbone of animation. Every song you've ever heard will always have a percussive element, even if it doesn't have a percussive instrument, such as a pause after every vocal bar.
The little ones with wholesome hearts look forward in delight.
Hitting a bass note on each count. The song will have some sort of tempo indicator to stay as structured as it can. If it didn't, it wouldn't be possible to tap your toe to this. The percussive elements that are present in every animation are timing, arcs, pose to pose and straight ahead, and ease in and ease out. Without these elements, your animation cannot exist. It needs a skeleton. That is why I am referring to these as the drums of animation, the backbone of animation. The bass is what gives our skeleton life. A great drum beat can do wonders, but the bass line is the personality of the song, the heart, the soul. Why do you think bass is such a prominent thing in soul music, jazz music, dance music? Because it's informing you to feel a certain way. In animation, this is squash and stretch, anticipation, exaggeration, follow through, and overlap. Without these, your animation truly won't be alive. They are basically you. It's what gives it its personality. It makes it more than just the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. This is why it is the heart and soul of animation, the base of animation. I've never really liked using the term lead instrument because it makes it sound like the most important instrument. But then I thought of the lead more as the finishing touch to the song. It's what gets your ear's attention and what keeps you listening. It literally leads you in. Staging, solid drawing, appeal, secondary action. This is the outward physical appearance of animation. It's what you see, not who you know. Being an amazing person on the set will always be the most important part and reign supreme. But you know what? Looking cool and having style doesn't hurt either. No, I am not saying Animu better, 90s better, CalArts ugly, bean mouth, round eye ugly. That is not what I'm saying. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. All faces are beautiful, all bodies are beautiful, and all styles are beautiful. Maybe you want your animation to have the outward appearance of a frightening beast, with a soul of weightlessness to show the push and pull that everyone's going through to stay grounded as best as possible with a strong foundation. That's this guy. Maybe you want your animation to have the face of pure beauty and elegance, with the soul of fear and uncertainty, and a weak, fragile backbone with moments of strength. That's this lady right here. Maybe you want your animation to have the face of discarded trash, the soul of a sandwich, and a flexible, adaptive backbone. That's this guy. This is what I mean by the face of animation. It's what you're presenting to the viewer, but not what you're trying to say. It is simply just what people see on the surface before they actually dig into your animation. This is what I would call the lead of animation, the face of animation. And even with this structure of a band in mind, sometimes you want the bass to be the most prominent part of the song. Sometimes you want the drums to be the most prominent part of the song. And sometimes you want the vocals or the guitar to be the most prominent part of the song. Therefore, in the end, all the instruments are equally important. It just depends on what you're trying to say with the song. just like animation. I'm going to focus on the backbone of animation in this video. I don't want to overwhelm you with so much information you can't follow, and I also don't want to edit another 1 hour video because it didn't do very well, so timing, arcs, pose to pose straight ahead, and ease in and ease out. Without these 4 elements, what you are creating is not an animation. Quite literally, you cannot have an animation without these 4 things. If you came up to me and said, I just finished this new animation, showed it to me, and I'm like, dude, I love the timing and arcs. I didn't use those. So what? Is it a fucking still image then? Is it just something that doesn't move? How is that possible? That doesn't make any sense. Did you use straight ahead or post to post to make this animation? No. So what, it just fucking appeared? Oh, then I didn't use ease in or ease out either. Anyone answers like this, it means one of 3 things. They didn't make the animation literally does not exist, or they used an AI generator. Either way, all these answers lead to the same conclusion of they did not make a piece of animation. They didn't make anything. They have nothing. So then let's begin with the most base important principle in both music and animation, even if you have nothing. Every animation since the dawn of time has a timing. Hell, every movement, whether it's symphonic or organic, has an inherent tempo. If you were that bored, you could even time out your own walk to find the tempo of yourself. Okay, but what do I mean by timing and tempo? What does that actually do for animation and music? What is this sound? This sound right here is the most boring thing in music, a metronome in 4/4. But even with how boring it is, at the tempo it's going at, you feel the anxiety and speed like you're running somewhere. You are imagining something moving fast or at least a very anxious situation. Let's slow it down. It's slow, but it's fast enough where it gives you some tension. A heartbeat, you're waiting for something. Something might happen. Let's slow it down even more. The spaces are so long it's almost floaty, ponderous, like you don't know where you are, but it doesn't really matter. You're just existing. All these same ideas apply to an animation because every animation also has an inherent tempo. If you compare a timing chart to a bar of music, they look incredibly similar, eerily similar actually. You can quite literally find the tempo of an animation and make a drum beat.
So, good news about the Yankees.
I hate the Yankees.
Heck, cheaters, that's what they are. I love your tie.
I hate this tie.
It's awful, it's gaudy, it's gotta go.
And the thing about tempo in music is that it's fluid. You don't just do this. No, you have half notes, eighth notes, pickup notes, dotted notes, triplets, accents notes, whatever. You can even increase or decrease the tempo if you wanted to. If you're a real nerd, you can play 2 different beats at the same time, creating what's known as a polyrhythm. All these minute interactions are what make music interesting to listen to. In fact, in animation, you want a fluctuating tempo. Animation craves polyrhythms. You don't just want something moving forward, no. You want legs moving, arms swinging, and a jacket swaying, wind is blowing through something's hair. You want all those complexities in your animation to make them feel more alive, and that is what timing is in animation. It's what separates a fun, complex drum beat from someone just banging on the drum on the same beat in 4/4 every day. Every piece of motion has an arc. When you move your arm up and down, there's an arc. When a car turns, arc. A puff of smoke, tons of arcs with one big arc. When you drive in a straight line, that straight line is an arc. No matter how smooth, erratic, flashy an animation is, it will always have an arc. It is the path along which your animation will travel, and the more complex, the more paths. Arcs and timing work hand in hand. Think of it like the key of your animation. Now, if you're not musically inclined, what is a key? In the most broad, simplest of terms, a key is just a series of notes that sounds really good when played next to each other. This is something that's on key. This is something that's off key. And these keys are used to unlock the doors of A, B, C, D, E, F, flat, whatever. So what may sound off in this room of A may sound completely normal in the room of E. But you know what every door does have? An archway, i.e. arcs. That's how we spin it back. Therefore, an arc in animation, in simplest terms, are just a series of points in space that just flow well together. It solidifies the mood and feel of your animation that your timing helped establish at the beginning. And like playing off key, Animating off arc will leave your animation feeling very jittery, off, or both, even if it's timed correctly. I know in general, I'm a very free-form, play off key, anything can be done as long as that's your genuine intention. The only thing that must be done with the arc is it has to be followed. Following your arc is unfortunately just a requirement. That's not to say you can't have insane arcs, you just have to follow your arc. And this is coming from someone who cleans up and finishes an animation. I'm like, wait, why does this bitch look so jank? And then I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot to arc this and I have to redo the whole thing. So follow your arc, just make it a path you want to follow that works for what you're trying to say. Everyone approaches writing a song differently. Some people like to improvise and see where the music takes them, and others like to build a song bar by bar to create a really solid piece that captures what they want. Straight ahead and post-to-pose and animation is exactly what that is. It is how you're going to structure and build your animation. Straight ahead animation is just visual improvisation. You're going with the flow of each drawing and seeing where it takes you. It's a jazz song. You just go until you feel it's right, but you have an idea of what's going on. The beauty of straight ahead animation is that it produces the most organic and, for lack of a better term, animated piece possible. More importantly, you're trusting your intuition and confidence in your understanding of movement to create something. The better you are at music theory, the better you will be at improvising because you just have a feel and understanding of music in general. Straight ahead is the same. The more confidence you have in your arcs and timing, the better you will be at just doing things straight ahead and trusting your process. And while straight ahead can lead to the most naturalistic alive product, it also leads to a lot of inconsistencies in quality, whether it's shape morphing or the animation just being a little too floaty or too snappy. It can lead to a lot of cleaning up, whether it's the arcs or consistency, which makes the actual final animation take a lot longer to finish. In my opinion, using straight ahead is really good for finding the feel of emotion versus an actual finalized movement. But let's say you're not really into feeling things. You're a person that prefers to make a map to your destination. This is where post-to-pose comes in. When you write a song bar by bar, that means you already have some melodies and rhythms, then just progressively fill in the blanks until you create a product you're confident in. Post-to-pose is the equivalent of that. You are literally starting from what you believe will be the first pose and the last pose. 2 drawings. Then after that, you insert what are called the key poses, which are the biggest, most important poses according to either your timing sheet or just your heart. Once you finish with that, then you actually break down the key poses even more into what's called breakdowns. Then once you finish that, you are putting the drawings in between the breakdowns, in between the keys, in between everything, in between you. Pose to pose is incredibly useful for cranking out animation, but also for working in teams. You are making a map that everyone can follow. Now, if you're like me, I bet you're wondering, Mr. Chorizo, how am I supposed to know this pose is at frame 1? This one's at frame 7, this one's at 28, and this one's at 37. How am I supposed to know this is a key in between breakdown? How come when I add more drawings, my timing is off? What am I doing? Oh my god, what am I doing wrong? How do I know? How do I know? How do I know? You don't. I kinda do actually now, but not really. Obviously, the point of these videos is to make learning animation as simple and as streamlined as possible. Unfortunately, this is one of those questions in animation that gives you one of 2 answers. Person A, wait, what are you talking about? What are you, stupid? You don't know what a key pose is? Are you insane right now? Or person B, I just work my way, but you're doing great, man. Keep doing what you're doing. It's working. I'm sure there are some legendary animators like Milk Call or something that would just be like, oh yeah, it's going to be 130 frames. The poses will be here, and yeah, just finish it and stop asking stupid questions. I am not that guy. I am person B. I do the first and last drawing, then add some drawings in between what I feel looks best, mess with the exposures, then if it still feels off, add some more drawings. Keep repeating that until I feel like it's fine, number my drawings, and then add some final in-betweens and call it a day. I do a fucked up combination of post-to-pose and straight ahead. There are no wrong ways to animate. There are better ways, and those better ways depend on the person, so it really doesn't matter. Write the song you want to make in a way that works for you and feels good. As long as it looks good and it gets done, it's fine. There's just post-to-pose, straight ahead, and a combination of both. From a literal physics standpoint, every motion has to have an acceleration period. Even if something instantly moves fast, that means there's an explosive amount of energy that propelled the object forward, i.e. shooting a bullet, or when something breaks the sound barrier. And in order for that object to stop or slow down, that energy has to be released in a proper way. That slow down or stop could be the object eventually slowing down because of gravity. It could be the object hitting a wall and stopping suddenly. And even when it hits the wall or stops suddenly, that energy still has to go somewhere. So that wall would have some sort of shock or impact on the surface. When you're about to run, you don't instantly start at sprinting speed. You have to build up even if you're going straight into the sprint. That is easing into the motion, building a momentum for the motion. And when you stop, you don't just instantly stop. If you did, you would either A, break your ankles, or B, be in a place with no gravity. You have to stop in a way where all your body eases out and catches up with the momentum so you don't just fly forward and smash your face into the pavement. That is why ease in and ease out is so important to your animation from a just actual motion perspective. It's just how things work. From a theoretical artistic perspective, it is simply introducing and resolving your animation in a way that works. Because animation doesn't just have physical energy, it has an emotional energy. That's right, even emotional energy needs a release because it's still energy. When someone's feeling sad, anxious, angry, whatever, those emotions still need a release. That release could be exercise, playing an instrument, screaming into a pillow, the dishes, sitting outside, looking into the mirror and not recognizing yourself. As long as it's a healthy release. That is my take care of yourself post relating back to animation. Always put yourself first. Back to the topic. What do I mean by introducing and resolving your animation? In music, a song can start in multiple ways. Music can start instantly with all the instruments at once. It can gradually build up with one instrument, leading the rest in. It can rush in then slow down, or come in slow then rush in. It can fade in and fade out. It is introducing and resolving in a way that works for that song. It is easing in and easing out the listener into something that feels satisfactory. And these same concepts apply to animation. You can fade in, pop in, go in one piece at a time, slide in from nowhere, come in slow, come in fast, bounce in. And on the flip side, you can fade out, pop out, slide out to nowhere, leave one piece at a time, leave slow, leave fast, bounce out. Animation has just evolved so much over the decades. I think it's time to look at ease in and ease out from a more artistic perspective. I'm going to go on a limb and say that Ollie Johnston and Milt Kahl didn't have the foresight for SFM and Newground Flash animation. A lot of these animations don't have the traditional ease in and ease out. They do have an introduction and resolve that works to their madness. Every song must start and stop, every motion must accelerate and decelerate, and every animation must be introduced and resolved. That is easing in and easing out. Y ahora, una reflexión final, i.e. final thoughts. Animation is visual music. For me, it's always been a lot easier breaking down animation when I think about it musically, as weird as that sounds. Because music and animation are two sides of the same coin. A musician wants you to see their song, and an animator wants you to hear their animation. Both mediums want to make you feel something. You have to understand the rules, so you can break the rules. I understand there's a piece of every artist that says they don't want to understand the fundamentals of whatever medium to be as true to form and not have anything inform their voice, vision, whatever. They want to be untainted and unapologetically themselves. Regardless of if you know them or not, the laws of animation are just gonna be there. You're gonna follow them consciously or subconsciously. There's just no way around it. As much as I would like to destroy and create my own matter, I can't really break the laws of matter. And no, you don't just want to know the rules to anti-explain people. That's not the point. While it's great to just make animations and they just look good because cool line move good, and at its base that should always be the reason you're animating. But it also doesn't hurt to know why cool line moves, so then you can make line move even cooler later. No principle is more important than the other. The principles of animation cannot exist without the other, making no principle more important than the one to its left or its right. They are all just equal. Remember our band of principles. All these members can be highlighted and focused on in different ways, and the same can be said of each principle and even set of principles. The drums of animation: timing, arcs, pose to pose, straight ahead, and ease in and ease out. I cannot stress this any further. Without these four principles, animation cannot exist. They are the backbone of animation. That is pretty much it for these. Anticipation, exaggeration, squash and stretch, follow through, and overlap. If you tell 7 different animators to change any of these elements in the same animation, you will get wildly different results, because this is how each individual animator expresses themselves and puts a piece of themselves in each animation. This is the heart and soul of animation: staging, solid drawing, appeal, secondary action. These are the finishing touches to every animation. It's what you present to the viewers so you can hook them in. It is the face of animation. I know, I'm still here. I started production of this video like back in October, but it just ended up taking a lot longer because of the holidays, and I I really wanted to make a bunch of assets to kind of like make it more of me. So I animated a lot of stuff. I wrote a song. I did as much as I could to make it different from my other videos because I really want to show how I apply the fundamentals of animation and music in all my videos. I got a new job that I'm absolutely stoked for because on top of it just being an inherent good for myself because I just want to work there and it's a really cool place. It's good for my career, and that's always a good thing because working a dead-end job sucks. I've been reading all your guys' comments, don't worry, even though I've been gone for a few months. I really appreciate how helpful it's been to everyone, and to anyone who's still sticking along with me, thank you so much. You guys really mean so much to me, and I love making these videos, and I will never stop because I just like helping people animate, and it makes me feel good to geek out about animation, and it's so cool that I can talk about it from it as an art form finally versus just as how to make things. Thank you so much, guys.